Hey, it's Jeremy from Jeremy.net. I am a comic book artist, writer, creator, and I share my creative process here with you online. If you enjoy these live streams, like to get additional bonus live streams twice a month, you can become a Patreon subscriber for as little as $2 a month. Head on over to patreon.com/Jeremy. It's patreon.com/GERIMI. If you would like to get a free digital sketchbook, you can sign up for my free monthly newsletter at newsletter.jeremy.net. You also get an email from me once a month where I share works in progress, animated GIFs showing the works developing, posts about what I'm reading, what I'm watching, what's inspiring me creatively, just more interaction in terms of what I'm working on, throughout the month when I'm not here streaming with you guys. And if you'd like to purchase physical copies of my comics, or if you read digitally on Kindle, you can go to amazon.jeremy.net. That'll forward you to my Amazon author page. You can pick up my books online. And if you go to the homepage of my YouTube channel, there are book flip-throughs for all of these books. The book flip-through videos, you can see what's inside before you pick them up. As I mentioned, the Patreon exclusive live stream, those are 2.5, 3-hour long sessions where we do deep dives into some of the best art books around. We've got one coming up this Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So you can sign up and get access to that one. And if you miss it, there will be a replay, and you can watch hundreds of hours of live streaming. The existing archive is up there to enjoy at any time. We've done studies from Walt Reed's The Figure, George Bridgman, Ken Holtgren on animal drawing, all that and more. So definitely head on over to patreon.com/Jeremy and check that out. Okay, so I am still working on the astronaut story here, and you guys let me know if you have any problems seeing the artwork that's on my screen, because on my end I do not see it. For some reason the software I'm using to stream is acting buggy again, so all I get is a big black screen, but everything tells me that it's showing up. So I'm just going to trust that that's working and keep drawing. So if at a certain point you guys are like, there's another bit of black screen, then just holler. I don't know what I'll do to fix it, but I'd at least like to know so I can start trying to find answers. Otherwise, we're going to just dive in here. So let me show you what I had right before this page. So I think last week I was up at the point. The problem with this is I usually am only getting like an hour or two per week to even work through these. So I'm not really getting much time to develop these. Otherwise, I was hoping that I'd be farther along, maybe even almost done and just doing storyboard cleanup at this point. But anyway, when last we spoke, I think I was just doing the shot. No, I was actually showing, I think, the probably the page before this. Let me just show you what came on the page before. I think I was down here showing the dog pressing the button to speak, and then the astronaut started spinning around to wave at the dog. I think this is where we left off. It's just the astronaut starts to spin, and then we cut to a wide shot of the spin continuing, waving at the dog. The dog is inside the space station now, so we see the window from a distance. We cut to the dog close up, barking. A couple of quick barks. Dog's happy. And then we cut to astronaut waving. Wrist is flashing. Waving. Then notices the wrist is flashing. Cut to the astronaut's POV. The astronaut sees their oxygen meter reads that they're down to 10%, and they're kind of like, oh shit, I need to get back in the station now. So slamming the doors closed to the section that they were working on, then reaching over to unhook the carabiner that's got them hooked to the side of the station. And then drifting free, slowly rotating and flipping around. These little arms pop out from the side of the spacesuit or the backpack. They grab the arms. Little propellant starts coming out of the back. Propellant is speeding up, and they're now rotating so that they're facing us. And then cut to the page that we're on now. And the astronaut just rockets forward into the screen towards us. Cut to inside the space station. We see a window. We see the astronaut rocket past the window very quickly. And then the next shot I have is we're going to be showing the dog now inside of the space station, heading in the same direction to kind of meet the astronaut by the door. Like if your dog sees you coming home, it sees you from a window at one side of the house and says, "Oh, wait, I know where the door is," and goes, running off to meet you at the door. That's what the dog's doing. So there's this shot in here, and I know that I've made it a point of trying to keep things very, very simple in this particular in these thumbnails, but I wanted this space station, the interior, to have that cluttered sense of, I looked online to actually find an image of a space station and look at how packed it is on the inside. Hang on a sec. I am just checking here. I just want to make sure the screen is showing up. Yeah, okay. The screen is showing up. Everything is looking fine. Let's see here. So, turn that off. Right. So what I'm doing here at this point is just trying to work out what angle I want to have the dog at. Really, I'm kind of figuring out what the path of movement for this dog is going to be through this shot of the space station. So first I tried sketching a couple of light sketches over here, just trying to work out the angle. But I don't think that that's going to be as productive as if I just come in here and, well, first off, let me erase this just so I have a little bit of room to work with. I'm just going to copy this and paste it in a low opacity and sketch on top of it. Try to work out what the movement's going to be. Let's move this down here. Bring the opacity down about 10%. Move this below the layer where I'm drawing everything else. And I guess I'm trying to figure out how I want to have the dog's movement go. Because what I'm thinking is the dog sort of arcs into the view, and then arcs, kind of careens over to the other side, and then back in. And I'm imagining it kind of has to use its paws to push off of different surfaces because it's, it's bouncing around, it's in space. As a matter of fact, Let me take these arrows and put these on a different layer. I just want to have them on a different layer because I'm going to have to scribble over them. In fact, let me select them. Change this to red. And just changing the color will give me a little bit of a reminder. Like I won't get lost between the path, the arc I want the dog to move along versus the marks I'm going to be making on top to actually block in the dog. So let's say the dog's head. Cat's pissed that I'm doing a storyboard that's not about a cat. So why can't there be a cat in space? Uh-oh. Okay, for some reason, well, I bumped my the cord, and for a second, it looked like the visuals disconnected. Seems like we're back on, though. Again, if you guys see anything weird and it looks like I'm just drawing and there's just a blank screen, there's nothing going on here, let me know. Now, what I'm trying to figure out is if there's a way I can physically show the dog landing from behind and springing the other way. I feel like maybe it's a matter of draw the springing first, because again, that's my go-to solution when it comes to working out movement is find the end of the move, find where I want to end up, and then draw the logical steps to connect to it. So drawing the dog kind of leaping. This cat is so pissed. What is your problem? Come here. Come here. Oh, why can't you let me live stream? Try to draw here. She seems to have a lot of attitude. Normally she saves this for the Patreon live stream. That's the one where she usually comes in and is very vocal and wanting attention. She knows that the Sunday live streams, she needs to be quiet and chill out. See Amar in the chat. This is happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, Amar. Good to see you. I'm trying to get this one to settle down and let me focus. Come here. Spoiled. Sit down. Oh, all right. Anyway, continuing here with these astronaut thumbnails. Hope that you are doing well. I saw that that video or that YouTube channel you posted on the Discord about making clay from natural materials and firing it, which I think that's actually really cool. I did a little bit of pottery in college, which I think everyone does at some point. And I enjoyed it. It might be a good thing just for having something to help me relax and do outside of all of the drawing. It's good to activate other parts of your creative brain. So there's one shot in here in the middle of this. I feel like there needs to be one more shot before this one. We get a sense of him bouncing off of the wall. Put another layer on top here. So I feel like there's going to be some overlap between this one and the other one, but maybe it is a matter of letting him go full on off the screen. Turn these layers off for a second. Let's see here. Amar mentions, I bought some air dry clay sculpting and plasticine clay for stop motion animation along with carving tools and wire over a year ago. Had not got around to using it. Let's see here. I do have to tell you, like, I've got tons of art supplies, mostly more canvases and that sort of thing that I just have stacked up for like paintings I plan to do, other creative endeavors. And it's like, I got to stop buying supplies to make things until I have time to make them. Let's see here. But you said, but the making clay from nature in his videos let me think about how we played with dirt as a child. I never thought about it. See how expensive clay is. I'm glad it popped up on my homepage. Yeah, you know, I mean, the idea of just being able to make clay from earth that is laying around, you know, just, you know, in your neighborhood, it's pretty fascinating. And I think anytime that we can make something more accessible and not have to have elaborate art tools in order to be creative, you know, it helps to make artwork more accessible, the creative process more accessible, not feel like you have to do it with the right tools. Let's see here. Jay King in the chat says, good day, brother and people. Good day to you, man. Thank you for popping in. Let's hear. Amar says, true. I bought some canvases and paints and not got around to using them as well. Like literally right within arm's reach of me. Oh, I've got a 4-pack of mini wooden panels. So like the big wooden cradled panels for painting on them. These are just small ones. So they're 4x6. So I figured, let me start with making some small paintings. But then I've got some a pack of larger, like 9x12 panels also on my desk, which I would reach over and grab, except there's a ton of books sitting on top of them, so I can't grab them. But all this stuff is right by my desk to remind me or keep me inspired, or just say, hey, man, this stuff is here, use it. So the only thing I'm trying to figure out with this little drawing, this little doodle, this one doodle I'm doing right here, is seeing if there's a way I can angle this so that I can feel like the dog is crouching to spring. So he'll spring right into the next one. Let me try and just draw the same thing, but a little bit more visible. Maybe this whole pushing it off of the screen was not the best idea. But the other thing is trying to have have it at an angle, have him, the dog, at an angle where the feet, you can tell that they are bunched up, like they're getting ready to spring. Let's see here. Yeah, Amar says, I bought my canvases from Michaels, have not stretched canvas or made custom canvas since college. Exactly the same. I had a class where that was like the first thing they did was taught us how to stretch canvases. And it was good knowledge to know. It was very, very useful. And then I don't think I have done it since that freshman painting class. Like even after that, I would buy pre-stretched canvases versus stretching my own. Because I see like if you were a full-time gallery artist, yes, you would stretch them all. But, when I'm working digital or even back then, I was working more pen and ink or ink wash on Bristol board versus trying to paint on canvas. It just seemed more natural to me. I didn't need canvas. And if I did want to paint something in canvas, I would just go buy a canvas. So let's see here. And Byron is in the chat. Says, hey, people. Good to see you, Byron. Thanks for popping in. Hey. Yeah, there is something to be said about having the knowledge to make the art tools yourself versus what I freely admit is laziness. The convenience of having people who will make it for you. I acknowledge that it is lazy, and I'm not proud of that, but I also feel like I got better stuff to do with my time unless I were making my living as a full-time gallery painter on canvas. Then I would probably look into it. Actually, then I still might either stretch my own canvases or maybe have an assistant teach them how to do it and then have them do it for me. But generally speaking, who am I bullshitting? The truth is I probably would still, even if I were a full-time gallery artist, be buying pre-made, pre-stretched canvases. Or I would, the reason why I bought the wooden panels is because I've been wanting to try out painting on wood panel, just gessoing the panel and working directly from that as opposed to working on canvas. I just wanted to see what it's like because I haven't really done much work on panel. When I took the class in college where we stretched on canvas, the canvas was stretched over a wooden frame, and then it had a masonite board underneath. And in my mind, I was even thinking, why are we putting canvas over this? Why not just paint on the masonite? Turns out people have been painting on masonite for years. Just that's not what the process that they taught us in school. In my school, rather. Anyway, this hunched over, I'm trying to really imagine here. Let me do this in profile. Let's say I've got a dog. This is getting really weird because now I'm drawing outside of the panels all over the place, just trying to work out these angles. But let's say working from a profile, you've got a dog who is leaping landing this would be a good time to break out the Muybridge, to be honest. Edward Muybridge, the photographer who did all of the photos of humans, horses, what have you, moving frame by frame by frame. So I think this last drawing that I drew is kind of what I am looking for, which is the dog is leaping, landing, and then coming into a crouch to leap again. The challenge is drawing that from behind, drawing it from a 3/4 behind angle and still making it readable. Logic tells me, well, hell, if that's what you need, why are you showing it from such a weird angle? But that's because the weird angle is the angle that helps tell the story. I want to show the astronaut moving in one direction and show the dog moving in another direction. There is a world where instead of showing us moving down the hall this way, we can show the dog moving towards us down the hall. That might make it read clearer. And that's the point of doing thumbnails, is to not hem yourself into doing it one way and then find out, oh, it's wrong. I actually should explore the idea of doing this exact same sequence, but doing it instead of seeing the astronaut shooting past us away from us, maybe we see the astronaut shooting past us towards us, and then the window that we cut to is a window basically this hallway that I'm going to have this corridor that the dog is going to be heading down, instead of having to change the whole angles that the dog is heading towards us out of the hallway. So I'm going to play with that idea. I'm going to play with just changing the shot completely. Let's see here. Back to the art talk. Byron says, stretching canvases is just too much work for what I'm getting out of it. If I was doing gallery tours or special cons, sure, but I don't, so it's kind of a waste. I think we're all on that same page there. Even though I have canvases and panels and want to make pieces out of it, but it's just, I don't even have time to finish my damn storyboards. I don't even have time to finish writing my next damn comic. Where am I going to get time to paint? So it's like I buy, you know what it is I buy the tools, the supplies to paint, because I feel like it will motivate me. And I think that's something we all do. Kind of like the art books. The thing about me buying more art books than I have time to study from, like if I reach down just off screen, I have a little tabaret, a little art, a rolling art table for supplies, and I've got all of these acrylic tubes of acrylic paint here. You've got a couple of different grays, some Mars Black, some Payne's Gray, some burnt sienna. All these things to just do simple kind of like muted tone old masters style paintings. And they just sit there waiting for me to get to them. Because yes, I am working digital. That does not mean that I think the digital is superior. It is, let me this way, I wouldn't want to be doing these kind of storyboard thumbnails in pen and ink where I'm because all of the constant revisions and trying out different angles, I would be less likely to want to do them because how much of I have to erase or change things around. The idea of being able to drop my background on low opacity so I can work out what the movement through a frame is and draw arrows on top of it. All of that is easier to do in digital, but Lord knows I still love traditional materials. Not the rant that I meant to go on. Let me go back to what we were talking about. Let's see here. So Byron said, but then again, I don't paint canvas enough for me to have a really good opinion of it in general. Amar says his storyboard has turned into a full-on project. Well, that's because everything I do turns into a full-on project. No, I thought it was going to be something I was going to knock out in a week or two. And it is the fact that in doing the first pass and pushing it all the way to the end, I saw the places where it didn't work. And so I went back to thumbnails and just reworking it, trying to fix the shots, making sure that the shot logic works, that the emotion works. And as I do these, I keep seeing places where at the thumbnail stage, not even talking about how nice the drawings are, just at the thumbnail stage, the storytelling can be better. And so like even this thing that I was talking about right here, where I have a shot that works and it cuts to another shot. And as I'm realizing how difficult it is in this one panel to make the visuals work the way I want them to, I'm like, maybe this would work better if I change the shot before it. Now, to be fair, this shot up here, where it's just the astronaut shooting past the window, that was super fast to make. So it isn't a big loss to lose that and just rework the shot of this hallway and see what it looks like coming towards us. Let's see here. Byron says, yeah, it's super neat to see this developing in real time, just a simple practice to something more. I thought it was going to be just a simple practice, but yeah. And Amar says, also outside the new Procreate Dreams app I shared for animation coming soon, I found a similar iPad app called ToonSquid. Says it's a $9.99 one-time fee and it's modeled after Procreate like CalPeg is, but it's not subscription based. Worth checking out. You always come in with the resources. I appreciate that. Thank you. The Byron, speaking of coming with some truth, Byron's like, let's be real. Collecting art supplies and books is a sub hobby all on its own. We all do. I mean, I have piles and piles and piles of books to the point now where I'm trying to read books so I can get the information out of them and take notes and then sell the books so that I can clear up space because our house is piling over with books, art books, prose books, research books, everything. It's just nuts. Let's see here. So Amar says, back to that the ToonSquid. He says the program has a lot of features similar to Procreate, Flash, and TV Paint. Packs a lot in a $10 app. That's all right. Definitely worth checking out. Let's see here. And Amar says, I still have art supplies I've not opened or used that are easily 20 plus years old or more. And that's the one thing I worry about is using the paints, because acrylic, I think, will eventually just solidify and turn to plastic. Like it should stay fine as long as it's sealed in the tube. But, you open paints that are too old and they're just not usable. All right. Let me get back here into looking at, whoops. Don't want to do that. I accidentally started compressing the layers. Let me take a look now at redrawing this hallway. What it would look like if I were instead drew the dog coming down the hallway. So I would probably this might actually not be very much work at all. I can just do what I did the first time, which was take the layer. Let's duplicate this again. Let's bring this down here. Let's flip it. That actually makes this make a whole lot more sense. Well, maybe it does. We'll see how it reads. Basically, what I'm going to do is that whole sequence that's above, I think what I should do is from here, I should take this entire layer set and duplicate it. Let's just move these two inside here. That up there, and up there. Let's duplicate. And I am going to rename this. So the way my naming convention tends to be is I will just have every time I create a duplicate of something, so I want to try a variant, I will just add to the end of the name the date. This is the 17th. And put an underscore in between here. So now I just know that this is a duplicate of what I was doing. The way I do it is like, this is almost like by adding that date to that layer set, that's kind of like a save point for me. So this way I can come in here and I can really just say, screw it, let's redo this whole sequence. And in fact, instead of that layer that I just duplicated, just make sure I delete the right one. Let's just delete this all together. Go back up here. Select this and flip it. I mean, this actually makes things much simpler. Just go up here, flip each one of these, and try it from this different angle. Let's see here. And Amar says, I just brought the War of Art, Breakthrough Creative Blocks, and Win Your Inner Creative Battles today, and Built to Sell about a month ago. I will tell you, I haven't reread it in a while, and I'm probably due, but The War of Art is one of my favorite books for the creative mindset that I've ever encountered, because it literally is just about what we have to go through to get to be persistent, but also to know when to dig in and really try to fix deep problems, and when to say, this isn't working, this needs to change. It's a great motivational book for every creative person, no matter what field you're in. I highly recommend it. I co-sign with Amar on that. Built to Sell, I have heard of, and believe it or not, I may have actually listened to the audiobook of it, but I listened to so many different audiobooks that I don't remember if it made a lasting mark on me. I'd have to go back and look through my Audible account, see if it's in there. See here. Amar says, which I should have bought digital, but sometimes the digital price is not much different than getting the real version of the book. You know what? Well, I definitely agree with that. For me, there's two things I take in consideration. Number one, if I can get the audiobook of something, I will get the audiobook. That way I can consume it while I'm drawing. Two, I ask myself, is this a book that I physically want in the house because I'm running out of space? So if it tends to be a book that is prose or mostly text, even if the price is close to the same for both the print and the digital, I might still get the digital version just so it doesn't take up any physical space in the house. And then two, or the alternate of that, I guess the other hand of that is if it's an art book, then I will likely get the physical version because that's something that a physical piece of reference that I like owning and looking at and flipping through. So that's that. All right. What was I doing? What I was doing was flipping all of these astronaut shots. So here. So now the idea is just this window that we see. We're going to see the astronaut rocket past that window. And then when we cut to the shot of the dog inside the space station, it's now going to cue up to this window that's in the inside when we see the wider shot of the dog. So now I think the whole thing of the dog bounding through space will read better with the dog coming towards us, heading in the same direction. Difference being that as opposed to the dog entering the frame, we're going to see the dog coming at us. So, hopefully that'll read better. I will say the other thing that I tried to do when I originally started this, and let me turn off this frame for a second. Go back to like maybe the first one, the first set. I tried to set it up where astronaut was on the left, dog was on the right from the very first time you see the dog. Trying to keep the dog on the right side of the screen. But right now, the way that the storytelling is unraveling, this seems to be working. So I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to go with it, see where it takes me. And, in the same way that I go on and on about thumbnailing, none of this is about, drawing well. When I do my final cleanups, it's going to be so much more different than how I'm executing this. But working out the visual story is absolutely the most important part of the whole process. Oh, you know what? I might as well just delete this because now instead of the astronaut going away from us, it's going to be coming towards us because it'll be flying into screen. So what that means is actually I can do what I did the first time I did this, which is grab some rectangles and just go in here, cut all those, come back, copy, paste, and now I can just go there and duplicate there, there. And there. Now I can just take all of these and mash them together. All right. So now let's go back to that shot. The astronaut rocketing into frame. And rocketing past the frame. Like you barely see them coming in before you're already seeing the vapor trail of just their feet. And what's interesting actually is I didn't even think about this. Now that I no longer have the dog coming into frame, that was the thing that I had before was I had the dog coming into frame past the same window to kind of connect the two physically. But now that doesn't happen until much later, which to a certain degree, it's hard for me to decide whether this is better or worse. Because from one storytelling standpoint, the fact that you go from astronaut close up into frame to looking through the window, astronaut going past window, and then the idea of having the dog's head coming into screen and then going down the same hallway, following. To one degree, that seems to work very well for me. It's the point of doing thumbnails, being able to go back and forth and really decide what I do or don't like. Because for me, what really helped the storytelling was the fact that after this second shot of the astronaut rocketing by, you immediately have the dog's head is supposed to come in frame and then go out of frame in front of the same window. And then you go to dog heading down the hallway. So now as I'm looking at this, that might still be the better way to tell the story. And it's just a matter of that shot that I was saying is a pain in the ass about the dog leaping through. Hmm. This is a tough call. This could go either way. I mean, fewer frames sounds better, but fewer frames isn't always better. Clarity is better. I'm just redrawing the astronaut to try and make them look like they are coming more toward the viewer. And I know that's a stupid distinction to make when we're talking about a thumbnail. Like I said, it's a stupid distinction to make, and yet it's one that I am insisting on making. So I guess we just got those two shots, the empty space, astronaut rockets by. And I suppose we can cut out these two frames here. Move this frame all the way over. And I'm going to need to duplicate it again to work out the actual shot. So let's just duplicate that now. Turn down the opacity. So I can get rid of the other boards where I start trying to rough things out. I'll leave those red arrows because I'm going to come back. I'm just thinking. Sometimes I'm sitting here and it's like the wheels are spinning, and that's what I'm doing. You're like, what happened? I'm just in here processing. figuring out what I want to get rid of on this scene while I make storytelling decisions. And I kind of want to hold on to those little thumbnails that I drew down there while I work on new thumbnails. Let's see here. Let's see here. Byron says, I don't think that's a stupid distinction, even with thumbnails. That thumbnail is eventually going to be the guide pole for the finished product. Screwing up there could have repercussions later. Well, you know what? That's a very good point. I knew there was a reason why I liked you. Yeah. Sometimes a lot of these decisions, it's almost like there's an intuitive level on which I'm trying to sort out why it is that I'm like something does or does not feel right. But what I'm going to do now is the same way I drew arrows before. I'm going to kind of work through, say, arrow coming down, bouncing off of that particular wall or floor, coming forward, bouncing off of this wall. Maybe, let's see here, arc, then arc off screen. That might be the way to do this. So I'm just figuring out what the movement path here is going to be. Maybe this first arc is a little bit of coming down out of a hallway. Because what I'm also trying to work out is how this is going to make sense in terms of a dog floating through space. And because like normally you could just have the dog at one end, it springs, and then it's just floating towards you. Visually, that feels a little bit boring to me. And what I'm trying to figure out is by having the dog move a little bit and then bounce off of a surface, move a little bit and bounce off of a surface, is you get kind of that flailing dog paddle type movement. And that is what I am trying to work out, is the flailing. Or not so much the flailing as it is what they're doing before each flail. Whew. I'm a little tired there. By the way, we're getting up to 58 minutes here. So we're almost to the top of the hour. So we're going to be wrapping it up soon. Hey, Kingsville Fitness in the chat. He says, hey, Jeremy and everyone, what size is that canvas? Are you talking about this digital canvas that I'm working on here? I think this is just normal Procreate screen size. Let's see here. Yeah, 2732 by 2048. Oh, hey, Peter Palmiotti's in the chat. And he says, hey, Jeremy, I just got a penciling gig, penciling a comic, paid gig, my first. Congratulations. Peter is a inker extraordinaire, veteran in the comic industry, and it is nice for you to be getting paid for doing some penciling for a change. I am happy to hear it. Congratulations, man. That's awesome. He says, doing thumbnails right now, too. Yeah, man. I mean, dude, for me, I feel like the thumbnails, that's it all happens in the thumbnails. If you can get the storytelling to work in simple blocks and squares and stick figures, then, you know, however your rendering style, whether it's a cartoony Ty Templeton or like a super rendered like David Finch, it's like if that storytelling's working at the thumbnail stage, then it's going to work. So, dude, I'm really, really happy for you. I'm happy to hear that. Let's see here. Where am I? Right. So let me come back in here now, and now we're back to what I was doing before. If this will switch to black, please. Working out the shots. So really now this is sort of twinning or paralleling the astronaut coming straight towards us. And there is a part of me that thinks maybe this would work better with the dog, looking at the dog from behind, simply because it's not repeating the exact same shot. Normally when I'm doing thumbnailing and storytelling, I have a very, very strong feeling of what is or is not correct, what does or doesn't work. Right now, I am very much going back and forth in my head between this version and the version where we are looking at the dog from behind. Let's see here. Peter says thanks, buddy. You're an thanks. You're an inspiration, buddy. Which to hear that from you is an honor. So thank you. But I appreciate that, and I wish you all the best with that comic. You don't need luck because you've got the skills. I'm trying to position these little thumbnails here so that they kind of overlap, but I don't want them to overlap too much because I'm going to end up breaking them into individual shots. So what I'm going to do is once I get all of the poses that are in this worked out, then I'm going to take each one and just erase everything except for each of the probably 5 poses. So that they'll read more, they'll read sequentially. As opposed to comics where you would just have all of these in a single shot. You can do it Frank Miller style. Let's see here. See, Chris in the chat says, good day, Jeremy. Good to see you. Thanks for popping in, dropping by. Just working on some storyboard thumbnails. Move this guy over a little bit more here. Start him kind of farther back. Almost actually like he's leaping off of the wall. Well, not almost. He should just be leaping off of the wall. Why not? Don't be surprised if you come back next week and you'll see that I changed this back to the rear view shot. Like mentally, I'm just running through the two options and can't decide which one works better. Oh, that's what I need to do. I need to do this. Elongate his body. Paws coming straight forward. That works. Although, truth be told, I feel like this actually would need a lot of extra frames in between just because of the fact that it's supposed to be taking place in space. And unlike the astronaut who's being rocket propelled, this guy is just slowly bounding through a space station. And I almost need to really, really slow all of this motion down. So, all right, guys. There we go. I think this is probably a good place to stop. I've got some direction for the next few shots. And God forbid I'm actually able to sit down and just focus for a few hours. I might actually get this piece complete, have the thumbnails finalized so that next week I'm just drawing cleanup. We'll see. We shall see. But on that note, thank you again for hanging out and spending some time talking shop, hanging out, and just enjoying the art talk. And if you want some more art talk, we do something we call Art Book Study Group. We do it twice a month on Patreon. And it's sessions where we sit down with some of the best art books around and do deep dives. We're just doing studies directly from some of the best educational art material around. We've been doing a long-running series on a book called The Figure by Walt Reed, which I think is one of the best books on the fundamentals of drawing. And I'm always working on the fundamentals. Even though I've been drawing for decades, I don't feel like it's ever a point where, oh, I've learned everything. I know how to draw now. It's like going to the gym. The more you do it, the stronger you get. The less you do it, the weaker you get. And I feel that way about the fundamentals most of all. So I'm always working on revisiting them, refining them. Anyway, if you want to get access to one of those sessions, you can become a Patreon subscriber for as little as $2 a month. Head on over to patreon.com/Jeremy. It's patreon.com/GERIMI. There's links in the description for the video on whatever platform you're watching. If you're watching on Twitch, there should be links in the About Me tab. And when we do these sessions, I have the voice channel open on Discord. So it's not just texting with me. You can actually get on and we can actually talk one-on-one in real time while we're doing these studies. So we've got one coming up this Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you miss it, there'll be a replay available for you to watch. And in the meantime, there's hundreds of hours of previous Art Book Study Group sessions already on there, archived, so you guys can just log in. There's a tab on Patreon where it has a tag where you can go and see all of the previous ones, check all those out. So if you want to do that, head on up, sign up, and And Patreon also has a what is it? They've activated free trials, 7-day trials. So you can even sign up for free, try it for 7 days, and if you don't like it, unsubscribe. So if you want to hang out, for 3 hours and talk this week, sign up. Head over to patreon.com/Jeremy. It's patreon.com/GERIMI. And if you'd like to see what I'm up to throughout the rest of the month, see work in progress, animated GIFs, blog posts about what I'm reading, what I'm watching, what's inspiring me creatively, just kind of connecting, dive deeper into this art conversation, you can sign up for my free monthly newsletter at newsletter.jeremy.net. You will also get a free digital sketchbook. So again, links in the description for the video. And let's say you've seen me talking for ages, you've heard me talking about my comics, but you've never had a chance to pick one up and you're kind of curious about what I do. You can head on over to amazon.jeremy.net. They'll forward you to my Amazon author page. You can pick up books like my first graphic novel, Eye of the Gods. It is a psychological thriller about a man cursed with visions he cannot control. You can also pick up my most recent project, Morning Star. It is Lucifer's Fall from Heaven, told as a Western. It's an 8-issue series. Volume 1 contains issues 1 through 4. Volume 2 contains the conclusion, issues 5 through 8. Both volumes have extensive back matter, character sketches, thumbnails, page layout, photo reference. I basically show you how I put the entire comic together. And if you want to see what's inside before you pick it up, if you go to the homepage of my YouTube channel, there are book flip-throughs. If you scroll down, there's flip-throughs for all 3 of those. You can just see what's inside the books before you pick them up. All right, guys. Again, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time hanging out with me. Always fun, always great. Love you guys. That's it for now. Go be creative.